Have a good battle, friend.
Now let's shift gears and talk about single player modes, because we got some new single player content this week with chapter 1 of the Book of Heroes. It is now in the game. As we laid out last week, if you want to hear more about this, let's catch last week's episode. But the long and short of it is that we are going to get a Book of Heroes for every single class in the game over the course of the next year. And it's going to be 8 boss mini adventures focusing on each hero of each class. And we're starting off with Mage, which means we're starting off with Jaina, which means you and I are both probably a little more interested in this than we otherwise would be, because I know we are both Jaina lore nerds. And I was expecting to just not even try this. PvE in Hearthstone has historically not been my favorite thing. I did really enjoy the last 2 dungeon runs that they did last year. And was really bummed when they got away from it at the end of the year with Descent of Dragons. Mm-hmm. But I was like, whatever. I should, if for nothing else, like I do the Anger Chain, I should go just see what it's like, give it a try.
Which was my attitude as well. I was like, well, it's out the day before we record the podcast. I should at least poke my head in and see what this is like, because I had a very similar reaction that I like dungeon runs, and when they moved away from it, I was kind of like, not my jam. But I will say that I don't think a dungeon run style single player would have fit this very well, because this is very, very story oriented in a way that we haven't really seen Hearthstone do before. And it kind of makes me, as I was playing through this Jaina story, I was like, I don't understand why this wasn't in the game from the get-go, because it basically takes Jaina's story in not only World of Warcraft, but the Warcraft RTSs that came before the MMO. It takes her whole story and kind of tells you her background. And it's so interesting. It even touches on stuff from the Arthas novel. I'm like, this is telling Jaina lore better than World of Warcraft.
Yeah. And if you're newer to Hearthstone, or you just don't remember because it's not that important of a distinction, but Hearthstone used to have the subline Heroes of Warcraft. It dropped that a year or 2 ago. We just dropped it from our intro voiceover because got someone new to do it. Thanks, Brode. And you're right. This feels like Heroes of Warcraft. Here's Jaina's story. Because I got into, so here's my personal experience with it, which was like, all right, I'll just go play the first one to see what it's like. I'll probably get bored and move on. And so the first one is Jaina as a student, trying to convince Antonidas to teach her.
On Antonidas,
And so it turns into a Hearthstone duel. You beat him, and obviously Antonidas is like, I will teach you, yada, yada, yada. And then I'll die.
You're so talented.
And then I'll go die in Dalaran.
God, spoiler alert.
I'm sorry, you've only had more than
it's been literally
17
years since
18
Antonidas
years?
Died in Dalaran,
It died in Warcraft 3. Y'all had enough time. You had enough time. I'm going to spoil Citizen Kane next. I apologize. It ended, and then on to the next one. It's Kael'thas, and I'm like, damn it! I actually kind of want to see what they do with this, because I know a little bit of this lore, and I want to see how they translate it into Hearthstone. And sure enough,
insert awkward love triangle here.
Oh yeah, Kael'thas came off kind of creepy. Also, didn't sound like Kael'thas to me.
Book too.
The voice sounded off. It didn't sound like Kael'thas to me. I haven't gone and looked up if it's the same voice actor or not, but I play Kael'thas a lot in Heroes of the Storm, and he just sounded different.
Yeah,
he didn't have the pompous talk as much.
Yeah, he was always pretty creepy, and especially when you factor in the fact that he's an elf and Jaina's a human. And when Jaina went to Dalaran, she was a teenager and he was hundreds of years old. And it's very Edward Bella, where you're like, okay, if you think about this too much, it's really disgusting.
It's hard to do immortal romances in fantasy.
Yeah, it really is.
And it's something that ages worse and worse. It feels like every month as we as a society evolve in our
kind of realize
understanding
how gross that is.
Yeah, of power dynamics. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little weird.
Yep.
And then again, one of my greatest shames as a raging Arthas fanboy is that I still haven't read the Arthas novel. So
Garrett.
I wasn't aware that I continued played through the Arthas thing. I love it just to me, because I haven't read the novel. Arthas just seems like a basic abusive boyfriend.
Yeah, he's really bad, Garrett. I hate to burst your Arthas bubble, but yeah.
And, like, I found it just kind of like, and I don't want this to come off as crass, but I found it amusing because it just seemed like paint by numbers abusive boyfriend, right?
Yeah.
Just like, oh baby, I'm sorry, come back, baby, I'll change, I promise. Like that's kind of what it felt like, to a point where it's like, yeah, this was an unhealthy relationship. This totally works.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, the novel is obviously told more from his perspective than her perspective, but yeah, still, he does not come across that great. So,
Well, I mean, we also know where he ended up, so that should come as no surprise to anyone that maybe didn't have the best moral compass.
yes.
Yeah, it wasn't just the calling of
Garrett.
Stockholm.
We need to have a much longer, more in-depth Arthas lore podcast sometime in the very near future with the events that are going on currently in Warcraft, because I have so many thoughts. But anyways, yeah. So getting like to kind of go back to the Jaina stuff here. I played through, I think, the 6 out of 8 bosses, and I stopped playing because I'll be honest, I didn't enjoy the actual like mechanics of the battles, like of the fights. It was just very basic. And again, you didn't get to make your decks or anything like that. You didn't get to do anything kind of crazy out of the ordinary, which again, kind of makes me think this is stuff that would have been really cool from a Hearthstone mechanics perspective if it was included with the game, like from the get-go. But it was still story-wise really interesting, because again, they went back to the well of some of those Warcraft RTSs and told basically Jaina's origin story, and talked so much about like when she met Thrall and how they had to cleanse like the orcs and Grom from the influence of the demons. Like, it's very much the RTS story, and it's all like voiced and it's explained, and you have kind of like Jaina now as like a narrator, and then when you're actually in the encounters, you have like Jaina at that point in time. So you've got these almost like 2 different Jaina perspectives being presented to you as well, which was also really interesting. So, I mean, I thought they did a really great job from the story perspective. I got bored of the mechanics, but I'll go back and finish it because the story was good enough to keep me engaged.
Yeah, it's kind of where I ended too. It reminded me a lot of the Demon Hunter prologue, like big time.
Yeah.
But it's not a knock against it, because like I know you and I time and time again say, hey, single player isn't for us. But like this, you can tell like the people that worked on this are big Warcraft nerds, like lore wise, because it really shines through. And as someone who does like Warcraft lore, especially older Warcraft lore, like this really resonated with me. So I think going forward for me, Book of Heroes is going to be something that I may skip ones for characters I'm less interested in, but I definitely see myself playing more than just Jaina's.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like I will play them based on not like Hearthstone classes that I like, but based on characters that those classes are. Like, I'll probably play a lot of like the priest when Anduin's story comes out, because I'm sure that's going to be super interesting.
And that's when I'm definitely skipping.
Fair enough. But yeah, the other piece of this too is that there's the Scholar Jaina bundle that is available only until September 21st. So you've got like 5 days as of time of recording if you actually want to go and buy this bundle. It includes the Scholar Jaina hero skin and 5 mage class packs. So the Scholar Jaina hero doesn't actually come with like any new voice lines or any new hero power or anything like that. It's just a portrait, static portrait skin. But then also those 5 mage class packs. So if you do want some mage cards, you can go and pick them up and grab them. I'm so sad though, because the Scholar Jaina hero portrait comes from like the very first encounter when she's going up against Antonidas, and I think it's supposed to be like Jaina when she first goes to like magic school in Dalaran, and then after that first Antonidas encounter, as soon as she goes into the encounters with like Kael'thas and Arthas and stuff, the hero portrait there is so much better. I was like, I want that one. I want like big ornate shoulders and like poofy sleeve Jaina. Like I don't love the scholar skin, I'll be honest.
It's kind of, I mean, scholar skin to me looks like, I believe is new art. It looks like new art that was made specifically for this, whereas the one that comes after, which is her kind of in her classic Jaina armor, but clearly younger, and I believe she's on a boat. Like it looks like she like may have been like crossover, Coltiran times.
Coltiris Jaina,
which looks to me like reused art. I can't place where it was from exactly, but I wouldn't be surprised if it went digging through the old TCG art if it wasn't a piece of art from that, because it kind of looks to me like original World of Warcraft TCG art. Which isn't to say I don't like it. I really do like it. You know me, I'm in the camp of more alternate art. Just keep it coming. Why limit yourself?
That's the other thing that I'm a little bit confused is like why they didn't just add the Jaina portraits that they used in the single player as either part of the mage bundle or as a reward when you finished or something. Like, you play all the way through and you get Kultiran Jaina and Scholar, like it's already in the game all set as a Jaina hero portrait because you play her in the single player. So
I'm sure someone like someone might be listening who actually like knows what goes into like, unlocking portraits. And it's like, it's not that easy, but who knows, right? I lean that way. Like I can understand, and I have no idea if this is what their thinking was, but I could understand the line of thinking of, it's free content. We're not going to give away portraits for free content. I can understand that thinking, but I wish that wasn't.
Well, but they could have added it again because they didn't put any voice lines or change the skin on the hero power or anything. Like it's literally if you buy Scholar Jaina, you get the artwork and that's it. So that's why I'm saying like they just add the other because maybe she has other hero portraits for the last couple of encounters, but so far I've seen Scholar Jaina and I've seen the, like you said, Pirate Jaina, we'll call her. Those are the two kind of skins that they made use of in the single player. So if I was to buy the Jaina bundle, it would have been cool if they had included both pieces of art because a little bit more value. I have seen a lot of Twitter and Reddit and Discord posts that have basically said like there's not a whole lot of value here, which in comparison to some of the others like Illyria that had, new voiceovers, new hero powers and all the rest of it, there's not a whole lot to this Jaina hero skin. So I can see the argument of maybe this bundle could have used a little bit of added value. Now you got 5 mage class packs, but yeah.
Yeah. And
there's a value discussion to be had. I
all
think.
Of that might also be playing into my positive reception of the like narrative itself is because my expectations were extremely low. And I think part of that came into not having an exciting reward at all for finishing the Book of Heroes. And also it's subjective, but I do think the new portrait is a little basic.
Yeah. Oh, and Midnight Bomber is confirming that in the single player, there are 3 portraits. So she does have a final phase, a final form that is not her default Hearthstone portrait. So yeah, it would have been really nice, I think, if they had included all of the hero skins that they had used in the single player as part of the class bundle. But I mean, in terms of rewards for playing through the actual single player, in this case, I do actually like really believe that the experience and the lore in there is worth your time, especially if you aren't familiar with the RTSs or if you aren't familiar with the backstories to some of these characters. I think it's absolutely worth your time because they did a very good job on that section of it. So
if you're
even though there's no reward, if you're interested, but I think it's worth your time.
I don't think it's going to make you a Warcraft lore fan if you're not already interested in Warcraft lore, but if you're even a little bit, if you're just like, I wonder what Jaina's backstory is. This does
who actually is
surprisingly good
Jaina?
job. Yeah, surprisingly good job. So.